mathematicians. Today we're going to be learning about multiplication with decimals, and in this video we're going to focus on multiplying only by one-digit numbers. To get us started, we have 3 5/10 times 2. To make this problem a little easier to work with, we're going to take it and write it vertically. Then we're going to take that and rewrite that problem without any decimal points. We'll deal with the decimal points at the very end. Here, if we write 3 5/10 times 2 without decimals, we're actually multiplying 35 times 2. This won't give us the exact value, but then at the end we'll work with the decimal to figure out what that is. So let's just multiply normally. 2 times 5 is 10. Bring down the 0 and bring up the 1. Then we're going to multiply 2 times 3, which is equal to 6, but don't forget to add the 1 on the top, making that 7. So we know that 35 times 2 is equal to 70. So now let's figure out what 3 5/10 times 2 is equal to. Let's rewrite the 70. Let's add a decimal point at the end of it since it's a whole number. And then we're going to go back to our original problem and see how many digits do we have after the decimal place. And in this case, it is only 1. So that tells us we're going to take this decimal point and move it 1 decimal place to the left for our final answer. And so our answer here is 7, and we could rewrite it without the 0 because 7.0 is just the same thing as 7. So let's do another example. Here we have 94 5/10 times 7. We're going to do the same thing and rewrite it vertically so that it's easier for us to multiply. Once we have that, we'll rewrite it without any decimal points at all. So here we have 945 times 7. So let's just multiply that normally. 7 times 5 is 35. Bring down the 5, bring up the 3. And then we're going to do 7 times 4, which is equal to 28, plus 3 is equal to 31. Bring down the 1 and bring up another 3. And then we're going to do 7 times 9, which is equal to 63. Don't forget to add a 3 on top, making that 66. So 945 times 7 is equal to 6,615. Let's take that number, add a decimal point at the very end of it, go back to our original problem where we could see that there's only one number after our decimal point. And then that means we're going to take this decimal point and move it 1 decimal value to the left for our final answer. And so that means that 94 5/10 times 7 is equal to 661 5/10. So let's do our final example here. We have 1 248 thousandths times 3. We're going to take this problem and write it vertically. Then we're going to take that problem and rewrite it without decimals. So here we have 1,248 times 3, and we're going to multiply normally. 3 times 8 is 24. Bring down the 4, bring up the 2. Then we're going to multiply 3 times 4, which is equal to 12, plus 2 is equal to 14. So bring down the 4 and bring up the 1. Then we're going to do 3 times 2, which is equal to 6. But don't forget to add the 1 on top, making that 7. Finally, we have 3 times 1, which is 3. So we know that 1,248 times 3 is equal to 3,744. So let's figure out what 1 248 thousandths times 3 is equal to. We'll write our number here, add a decimal point at the very end, go back to our original problem, and if you notice here we have 3 digits after the decimal point, which will then tell us to take this decimal and move it 3 decimal values to the left in order to get our final answer. So 1 and 248 thousandths times 3 is equal to 3 and 744 thousandths. And that's it for multiplying with decimals, and in this case, we're only multiplying by 1-digit numbers.